Chelsea captain John Terry has undergone surgery in a bid to cure a long-standing back injury. It's not known for how long.
And it's a bizarre own goal. Oh, a terrible own goal. Fulham have levelled. Poor defending again by Chelsea. They may have dropped 2 more crucial points. Here's Count trying to provide what is the count, and Liverpool ahead. Chelsea looks static there, and Czech had no chance. What must John Terry be thinking?
And down at Cobham today, it's the news we've all been waiting for. John Terry back in full training and looking very much like his old self. The Blues skipper is hoping to be fit for the game against Benton.
Hello and welcome to the Valley, home of Charlton Athletic. And yes, John Terry is back, but Jose Mourinho selected him only for the substitutes bench after being out since mid-December with that back injury and subsequent back operation. Chelsea coming into the game, remember, with Ashley Cole injured in second place, Charlton's second bottom, and Chelsea playing at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Manchester United 6 points ahead of us, having to go to Tottenham on Sunday afternoon. Could we put pressure on the top team? Well, Ben Andrews and Scott Minto are your commentators.
3, that's the magic number. In search of a 3rd straight Premiership crown, Chelsea have pulled off 3 straight wins with 3 clean sheets in 3 different competitions. After stuttering through Christmas and New Year, it seems the Blues are back in business for the business end of the campaign. Today at the Valley, it's second top versus second bottom, with both clubs desperate for the points for altogether different reasons. Alongside me is a man who played for both clubs, Scott Minto. Scott, even though 3 points is 3 points whenever you play, with the transfer window shut and 13 games left, we're into February, and for so many sides, including the 2 in front of us here, the ante is upped and it just somehow seems more important. There's no room for error.
We're getting into the business end of the season now, aren't we, where both teams, obviously one at relegation end, one going for the championship as well, really needs a point's not enough, as simple as that. I think Charlton obviously would probably settle Chelsea at home to get a point. Chelsea, I think, have got over that little blip now and seem to be coming out of it. I think really good performances against Forest, Wickham and definitely against Blackburn. I thought they were excellent on Wednesday night. So I just believe Chelsea can just try and go on, and it's so important for John Terry. OK, he's not starting today, he's going to be on the bench, but, you know, he really is the epitome of what Chelsea's all about, and he will lift, just his presence sitting there on the bench will lift the whole of the players.
Well, the main question, as Scott mentioned, regarding Chelsea's team sheet has been answered by the pictures you've just seen. Frank Lampard led out the team, meaning John Terry's full comeback will have to wait another week. He is bench, as Scott said, but as the captain of club and country returns to the fold, there are differing fortunes for England's top 2 left-backs. Ashley Cole's pain is Wayne Bridges' gain, and having impressed in various positions in recent weeks, Lassana Diarra holds on to the right-back spot. And the front 6 are unchanged from the win over Blackburn in midweek. The question now is whether Andrei Shevchenko can bring his cup form to the title chase. Not before time, Charlton, it appears, are staging a mini revival, and having masterminded a win at Portsmouth and a draw at Bolton, Alan Pardew fills the same 11 for the 3rd game in a row. There's a hard-working trio plus 2 wide men on show as the hosts look to pack midfield, and Marcus Bent is the lone front man, while top-scoring namesake Darren continues to recover from injury. Michael Ballack had a fine game against Blackburn. I think he maybe started doing a few more of the things that Chelsea fans have wanted to see from him.
I think we've always wanted to see him do those type of things, and it looks like he's perhaps realises he's got to impose himself a little bit more. He's had plenty of time now to adjust to English football. He's got that physicality about him where the English football should suit him, and I'm just surprised it hasn't taken him, you know, a little bit quicker to get used to the pace of it. But on Wednesday night, I think it was a turning point. Shevchenko, for me, it's important for him to, he's got some goals now, important to carry on and get some Premiership goals as well. And both of them now, I think, are just realising exactly what they have to do to be regulars at Chelsea Football Club.
There is the German international, being the subject of much speculation this year. We just had a shot of Matt Holland, who's very much in favour under Alan Pardew. He was on the score sheet the last time Charlton beat Chelsea in the league. That was here, Boxing Day 2003. Herman Hreiderson also got one that day, he's playing. Mark Halsey, today's official. Depending on events elsewhere, Charlton could get out of the drop zone with a win today. If Wigan lose, Chelsea, of course, looking to halve Manchester United's lead from 6 to 3. United not playing until tomorrow. And that's very often the case, Scott, isn't it? They play at slightly different times, and it gives one club the chance to get in there first.
Yeah, I think it's really important for Chelsea to impose some pressure on Manchester United. I mean, Man U are playing really well at the moment, and they look as if they're not going to drop too many points. But you look at their fixtures, they've got some really, really difficult games. You know, Tottenham, Liverpool, obviously Chelsea away, Everton away, and some Lancashire derbies as well, Bolton, Blackburn and you know, Manchester City. So although they may not lose many games, I do feel they won't win them all. They'll drop the points, and it's important for Chelsea, whenever they play the day before Manchester United, to make sure they get those 3 points and really exert just that little bit of extra pressure on Manchester United.
You just wonder how many Chelsea can afford to drop. We'll get our maths heads on later. 13 games left. You've got to be thinking, well, at least 11 wins, something like that. But we're just about ready to get underway. The sides have swapped ends here at the Valley, part of which is bathed in sunshine, the rest in shade. Mark Halsey totting up, and I think he's happy. The ground that used to be a bit of a bogey ground for Chelsea, but not so recently.
I think he can add up to 11. I think 10's his maximum there, isn't it? It's taking his time.
2 watches and a whistle, and off we go. 2-0 winners last year here, Chelsea. Robin and Crespo, neither of them here, of course, for different reasons. Today, straight away, getting forward is Lassana Diarra, and an early ball into the box for Charlton to deal with. Mikel. Romadal into pinch it off the feet of Lampard, and Fai cleaning up. And Ricardo Carvalho to go all the way back to Petr Cech, who's looked pretty flawless since he's been back in the side. And now Wayne Bridge, he'll be sensing a real opportunity here. You think he's nailed on for a sustained run in the side. And the loose ball comes out to Michael Ballack, who struck it well enough. And Chelsea have got a corner inside the opening minute.
It's been a positive start, hasn't it? The first minute, we've seen both full-backs really bomb on, try to get some crosses in. It's quite surprising when Charlton are playing a 4-5-1. There's one thing you shouldn't be allowed, is the full-backs to go forward, but it's been a really good start.
Lampard's corner. Away by El Kakori. Essien still filling in for John Terry. I think it might be his last game at the back. Jose Mourinho's been saying this week how impressed he's been with Michael Essien in that position. I think he'd have a career as a centre-half if he wanted one.
It's incredible, and to think that he's not the tallest either, but he's strong, he's quick, he reads the game so well, his first touch is brilliant. I mean, this is a guy who can play in any position on the pitch. He's that good, and I think when Carvalho is alongside him, John Terry is not as missed as when, say, both centre-backs are out. I think when you've got both centre-backs out, it's quite clear that Chelsea aren't the same force defending-wise, but when you've got Carvalho and him alongside each other, I think they still have a good reading of the game, but it would just be important to try and get Essien back into midfield.
Now Bent, decent ball across, but he had no one up with him. That's where you've got to hope your midfielders are running on.
Well, from Charlton's point of view, 4-5-1, the striker has got to stay. He hasn't got to go wide at all. He's got to try and stay in the middle, because when he does go wide, there's nobody in the box, and that's exactly what happened there.
Just a 9th Premiership appearance for Petr Cech. They've missed his presence, certainly, as they have Terry, that sort of aerial confidence that players like that give you. Diarra looking for Drogba and finding him. Decent turn from Drogba. He's still going, Drogba. He's flashed one wide as Shevchenko and Lampard in attendance.
He's back to being unplayable again, isn't he? Just a high ball in, really. Great first touch. You see, I think it's Sankofa just diving in there. Great turn inside. Of course, we saw him strike and put it in the back of the net on Wednesday night with his left foot. A little bit of a more difficult strike here. Frank Lampard almost got on the end of it. You see here, just that first touch is brilliant, turns inside. That's a shot, but Frank very nearly got on the end of it.
Jose Sankofa might have his hands full today. We've seen a fair bit of him against Chelsea's reserves over the last couple of years. A little bit keen then to dive in, I thought.
Yeah, one thing you can't afford to do is dive in on Drogba, because once he's nicked that past you, you're not catching him up.
Carvalho. He got his first goal this season against Charlton in the reverse fixture. Chelsea went on to win 2-1. Charlton's goal scored by certain Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, who's on their bench today.
With that incredible celebration as well, or lack of.
Yeah, that was quite something to see Stamford Bridge rising to an opponent's goal, but they did. He got a great ovation. Shevchenko. Ballack. Lampard losing out. Andy Fye doing what he does best. And a few weeks ago, this you'd think would have been a nailed-on away win, wouldn't you, Scott? But they've certainly found some resilience under Alan Pardew. Not too many people go to Portsmouth and win, and go to Bolton and get a draw. That's what they've done in their last 2 league games.
That's right. I mean, I saw them against Forest in the Cup, and they were woeful, and you really thought this team was going down. But you have to say, 4 points. These difficult games, Portsmouth and Bolton, both trying to go for that European spot. So you've got to say they're trying to have lifted themselves a little bit. Rightly so. I think Chelsea's still a favourites to win this game, but it won't be an easy one.
Charlton had lost 5 out of 6 before Alan Pardew took over from Les Reed. They were heading out of the Premiership fast. They're still Mado, of course, but it's looking like a much tighter race down there now.
Yeah, just amazing when a new manager comes in, and if he's got a bit of charisma like Alan Pardew has, it just lifts the players as well. And certainly their home games are really important. They've got some big games coming up.
Marcus Bent is out wide again. Brian Hughes on the overlap, but Essien dealt with it. Not missed a minute of Premiership action yet, Michael Essien. Chelsea's away form has been, relatively speaking, the concern this season. It's not stood up to the previous 2 incredible seasons. Haraidison hurls one in. Lampard heads away. Shevchenko had to do it all on his own. Concedes the throw in the end. 7 wins, 2 draws and 3 losses, including that one at Anfield, of course. By Chelsea's standards and Jose Mourinho's standards, that isn't the kind of away form that's brought them those back-to-back titles.
No, it isn't, but, you know, the first season was always going to be difficult, but strolled through it, really. The second season, a little bit more difficult, strolled through it as well. I don't know what the stats are, but I don't know how many teams. I think there's only 2 teams in the history that have won 3 on the spin, so that just goes to show how difficult it is. So I'm not surprised that the third season was going to be that more difficult, and obviously we're bringing in the Shevchenko and Michael Ballack. They've tried to change the system a little bit. Hasn't quite worked as well as we'd have hoped, but I think the wingers being out has been a big problem as well. But there's no doubt Chelsea is still in it.
Ball just wouldn't drop in the end there for all sorts of Charlton midfielders who are in the area. Mikel's able to break and find Lampard, but robbed again. Fye's ball in the end, far too much.
I mean, that's one thing you'll see from Charlton, especially at home. They'll be straight into the tackle. They won't want to give the likes of class players like Frank Lampard any time on the ball whatsoever. Whether they've quite got the class to try and open up the Chelsea defence, I'm not so sure, but in terms of commitment, they'll certainly give 100%.
There's a sight Chelsea fans have been desperately waiting to see. 13 games out, John Terry, in all competitions. Back on the bench today. Just wondering if they might bring him on if they need a goal, because he's got a really good record here. Scored a couple in a 4-0 win here 2 seasons ago. Also scored in the Boxing Day match we mentioned earlier, when Chelsea lost under Ranieri, 4-2 that was. Lampard. Bridge with a bit of space if he wants to run. He gets it back, Wayne Bridge. Options in the middle. It's a good cross from Bridge. It was a really good cross. Not many better left boots in the country than Wayne Bridge's.
Fantastic ball in, and well, you know, it's unfortunate for Ashley Cole, but it's a big chance for Wayne Bridge to come in now. That is a wonderful ball, and it's just a case of hoping one of the Chelsea players can get on the end of it. Good defending in the end from Charlton.
Lampard's corner. It's over Carvalho. El Koukouri with a head away. Diarra battling in there. Lassana Diarra wants to have a dig. Maybe a break on. Racing across to deal with the problem. Mike Galessian again. Holland with a really sloppy ball. He's presented Chelsea with a chance. Shevchenko finds Ballack. Andy Fye got enough of the ball, says Mark Halsey.
Yeah, he did. I think it was a good tackle and a good decision in the end. Just unlucky for Michael Ballack. Just slipped inside Matty Holland and tried to get enough room to get the shot in. It was a perfect angle for him, 20 yards out. It's a good tackle in the end from Fye.
Carvalho with a little slip and then a very cool pass with Marcus Bent breathing down his neck. Mikel enjoying a really good run in the side. And now Bridge again bombing forward and again pulling out another teasing cross towards Drogba. Danger not clear yet. Bridge, I think that was a shot. Romadal, he's certainly got speed. Thatcher finds Bent.
Great defending from Michael Essien there. A lot of centre-backs would have just stayed off Marcus Bent and just let him pass the ball back. Not him. He just went in straight away, didn't want to give him any time on the ball. Hustled and harried, and you see taking a lot of pressure off Chelsea now with a throw-in.
Safety first. He's learnt the Rose Ed thing all right. Herman Hreiderson with the throw. One of many defenders linked with West Ham. They bought most of them, it seems, during the transfer window. But his new manager managed to hold on to him and stop him rejoining his old manager. Hughes with the touch. Sankofa on the chase, got there in the end. Forced back, El Koukouri. Helped in there. And the flag is up, eventually. There's a huge whoosh of expectation from the crowd. I think the flag might have been a bit late.
Well, I'd like to see that again, just when the ball was played. Perhaps just half a yard, not sure. Difficult to see, really, but certainly won't complain anyway. You got him in behind the Chelsea defence, and fortunately his first touch wasn't the best, but in the end the linesman just put his flag up and gave offside.
Mikel didn't get the decision he was hoping for. Dennis Roberdahl, I was thinking about him earlier, a little bit like someone who used to play for Chelsea not too long ago. Jesper Grønkjær, all the pace in the world, just somehow doesn't seem to deliver at the end of it, though.
Yeah, normally he should be a full-back's nightmare, and I think he's won 50, 60 caps for Denmark, played in World Cups, played in the Champions League with PSV as well, and you thought when Charlton brought him, he'd be a real great buy, but wingers, it's not just about pace, it's about effectiveness and that final ball, and for me, his quality on the final ball has just not been good enough.
I remember at the time, people were very excited about it. It was seen as quite a coup that they'd managed to get him, coming from a well-known European club like PSV. Andrei Shevchenko's in here, and he's forced a really good save from Scott Carson. Out of nothing, that shot. Simple long ball. But he's worked the Charlton keeper, who was more than up to the challenge, and maybe something at the other end now. Chelsea with the defending to do. That was an altogether simpler shot for Cech to handle.
Yeah, it was unlucky from Shevchenko, wasn't it? It was just a real striker's instinct. First time, bit of mistake. You can just see that's where Haraidison completely missed the ball, worried more about Drogba. Shevchenko, as a good striker, would go in behind, and for me, Scott Carson's been one of the best keepers in the Premiership this season. Another good save.
In fairness to Shevchenko, couldn't really have done a lot more with that. From that angle, he'd have done well to beat Carson.
No, he did everything right. You taught to go across the keeper and try to aim for the far post. He did exactly that, and it was a fine save.
Scott Carson's only missed one game for Charlton this season. He has been in very good form, and the only one he missed was because it was Liverpool, his registered club, who he wasn't allowed to play against. And a rare, bright spark, I think it would be fair to say, in an otherwise disappointing season for Charlton.
Yeah, you just see again Shevchenko. He just seems to have gained that extra half a yard that perhaps he was lacking before Christmas now, doesn't he? That he seems a different player. His body language seems much more positive now as well, and you know, he's got those broad shoulders puffing out that chest, and he really believes now, well, it looks like he does anyway, that every game he's going to score.
9 goals in a Chelsea shirt in all competitions for Andrei Shevchenko. 3 of them recently.
He worked really hard, didn't he, on Wednesday night as well. Was unfortunate not to get a goal. Jose Mourinho giving him a big hug at the end. He appreciated how much he worked for the team. There were certain times where he could have shot himself but laid it back inside for a midfielder or Didier Drogba as well. So I think he's becoming the team player that Jose Mourinho and everybody wants him to be. It just would be nice if he could get a few more goals.
Lampard asking a lot of Bridge, but it's worked out well. It's another great cross from Bridge. And a decent header on the dive from Michael Ballack. In the circumstances, it was just about all he could do. And now he's having a word with Ben Thatcher about something, was it? Or Haraidison?
Yeah, it was Ben Thatcher, but I'm not quite sure why Thatcher was moaning there. Great pace again by Bridge. Lovely ball in, and I actually felt he should have done better here. Perhaps he was a bit worried about, maybe he was thinking Ben Thatcher stamped him in the end, I'm not sure, but lovely ball in. We've seen Wayne Bridge go forward 3 or 4 times now already. I think it's unfortunate. I think he caught him, but any left back should be trying to stop the ball, and because he stooped down into it, perhaps he felt he was trying to kick his head, which he wasn't.
17 minutes gone, and Wayne Bridge is already looking very dangerous down that Chelsea left. The diamond formation in midfield is all about those full-backs bombing on.
Well, it is, but when you play against a 4-5-1, you play against wide players, you wouldn't believe that it would have that kind of room. But Diarra in the first minute got forward, and Wayne Bridge has got forward 4 or 5 times.
Shevchenko, robbed by Andy Fight, only as far as Frank Lampard though. Tries a shot, Lampard, and scores the goal too. Everything he hits at the moment is turning to gold, and the captain has got another one. You just can't give him the ball at that range.
Well, it's all too easy. I was just thinking, you know, you can't give Frank Lampard that amount of time and space right in front of goal, 20 yards out. Won the ball back, Andrei Shevchenko. Little bit lucky here, Andy Fight just kind of loses the touch. Shevchenko again gets the touch in. Look how much space he has. You cannot give Frank Lampard that space. Scott Carson, no chance in the corner. From behind here, look at him. You can see him just teeing it up. Great strike, the ball dipping and swerving. 1-0 Chelsea.
Had a couple of touches, a couple of looks. That was a couple of touches too long for Charlton. You invite him to strike at your peril. He's on a hot streak at the moment. 17 goals in all competitions this season already. People said there was no way he could get 20 again like he did in the last campaign, and he's well on course to beat it.
Well, people were wondering whether he'd be a bit stifled with the arrival of Michael Ballack as well, but no way. He's come on, and I think he's showing exactly Michael Ballack what he has to do to try and be really competitive in this team. He's been magnificent this season yet again, and in the absence of John Terry as well, you do feel he's kind of tried to lead by example as well. So, well, it's just another fantastic Frank Lampard season.
Well, it's something that the manager's been keen to point out with all the hoo-ha surrounding Terry's return. The contribution of Frank Lampard doing exactly as you said, Scott, leading by example. He's been very keen to point that out this week, the boss. And the atmosphere has gone dead at the Valley. Here's Lampard again, out to Bridge. Chelsea looking very, very strong. Bridge with another good cross! Just over the bar from Shevchenko. But Charlton are going to have to do something to deal with the threat that's coming from Wayne Bridge's left boot.
Well, Wayne Bridge, best player in the park so far, isn't he? It's about the 5th or 6th time. What a ball that is. Shevchenko rising above the defender. Really unlucky not to try and get a little bit more on top of it, but that is a wonderful ball. Scott Carson can't come out, 6 yards out. Ben Thatcher probably did just enough, but again, I'm talking about from Charlton's point of view. Alan Pardew has got to say to Dennis Rommedahl, look, whatever happened, you've got to stay with him. You're meant to be taking Wayne Bridge the other way, not vice versa.
Absolutely, good challenge from Carvalho there. I take your point, if Charlton's wingers are being forced back by Chelsea's fullbacks, they've got no hope.
Well, it's going to isolate Marcus Ben. You know, the fullbacks of Chelsea are pushing on. The midfield seems to be having a lot of possession now as well. And it just looks as if, well, in my opinion, Chelsea should really try and go for that second goal and almost kill the game early on.
Which might be what he's writing down. Seems in a much happier mood these days, Jose Mourinho. He loves a clean sheet, that's probably why. They've had 3 of them recently. Diarra. Shevchenko trying to work room for the shot. Mikel. And a long ranger was a good one, and it tested Carson. Didier Drogba just having a pop for the hell of it, and it nearly worked.
Well, Chelsea now rampant, aren't they? So confident, passing the ball. Great strike. Again, just going in the corner. In the end, Scott Carson would be disappointed to concede that, but it's all Chelsea so far.
"21 minutes gone. More than an hour left, and Charlton feeling the pressure already.
I think Jerome Thomas wants to stay down there ready for another 5 or so minutes and just take the sting out of the game, because Chelsea are, as I say, they're confident, they've scored that goal, they believe they can go on and score a second, and I think they should try and do that. 2-0 at half-time. I don't see Charlton coming back at all.
Yet to test Petr Cech, but there's plenty of time for that. There's Jerome Thomas. Haven't seen much of him so far. But he's one inside a corner. Petr Cech might just have some work to do now. Rommedahl with it. Flicked on and headed away by Didier Drogba, who always seems to be the man who's there. Sankofa beats Shevchenko to it, and Charlton can come again. With a decent cross that Petr Cech had to watch all the way, and in the end decided he'd have to palm it over.
Well, it's definitely a cross, there's no doubt about that. Just skewed it a little bit, but because he did it with such pace, Petr Cech had no choice but to try and tip that over. In the end, it's a good save.
Rommedahl floats another one in. Shouts for handball, but in fairness, it was from the fans, not the players. Bent still in there, and Essien and Faye. Away eventually by the goal scorer Lampard. Talal El-Kakori scored with a 35-yarder in midweek from a little bit straighter than that cross.
Well, he has got a great strike in him, and if he does get in central areas, even 35 yards out, Chelsea certainly have to be careful, but when it's out wide, you don't feel Czech's going to be beaten.
Once or twice a season, one of those sort of slips in, doesn't it? And the goalkeeper's maybe not quite on his toes. Makaleli finds Diarra.
Yeah, talking about that does happen once or twice a season with goalkeepers. I've been so impressed with Petr Cech since he's come back, and he's obviously still wearing that head guard, but he must have been a little bit worried coming back into first-team football with certain opposition teams must have been thinking, look, let's get the crosses in, get lots of shots in, let's really test him, but he showed he's back to his best already.
Here comes Lampard again. Drogba. Ballack finds Mikel. "25 minutes of near relentless pressure from Chelsea. Drogba's got the better of Sankofa again. The cross didn't beat the first man. Just get another look at this goal. It's just too much time, and Amdi Faye was sort of watching him but not really doing anything about it. And
No.
you do so at your peril, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, 2 yards off him is just too much. You've got to make sure he can't wind up that foot.
Onside here, Andrei Shevchenko casting out well, and he had to be. He's getting closer. Goals in those cup games were nice, and they've got him back on the mark again, and as you were saying, Scott, giving him that bit extra zip. Now it's time to do it in the league as well. Faye under pressure, under really big pressure, and he almost made an absolute howler. Carson's bailed him out again. Carvalho. Chelsea's defenders are on the halfway line for most of this game. Shevchenko again, room for a shot. Shevchenko, high and wide.
How many times have we seen in the past in Serie A him strike that and put it right into the top corner? Again, just doing everything right. First touch inside, 20 yards out on his left foot. Man of his technique, you expect him to hit the target from there.
Neat bit of play from Thomas. Bent steals inside, and yes, the free kick is given.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I think that's a little bit harsh, really. It looked to me as Marcus Bent just overran the ball and almost ran into Carvalho. I think that's very unfortunate. It's the first real time we've seen, I suppose, more than 10-20 seconds with the ball in Chelsea's half.
Talal El-Kakori, he of these specialist pile drivers, I think maybe just telling Brian Hughes and Matt Holland how he'd like it to be teed up for him. I guess it's going to be him, you never know.
I think it will. I think Brian Hughes is going to have to run out the way once he stops the ball there, though. Otherwise, Al-Kakori will crash into him.
Mark Halsey having a bit of fun trying to get that Chelsea wall back. And Petr Cech might just need his wits about him here. Makaleli out of the wall too early. Is it going to be a card? I don't think it is. Take two. Well, it's taking its time. Is it going to be worth the wait? El Kakori! Bit of a touch on it from someone, and Petr Cech gratefully down to his right.
Yeah, Makelele just kind of took the sting out of the ball. You could see I was just hoping he wouldn't get booked for something as stupid as breaking the wall too early, but you can see just got a touch on the ball there. Petr Cech probably would have saved it, but in the end it very, very comfortable.
As Chelsea have been, in truth, for the first half hour of this game. Lampard with another good ball through, and again Carson's off his line. Didier Drogba saying he had his shirt tugged. The linesman's flag was up anyway.
I'm not sure that's offside. I think El Kakuri was playing him on.
It's had to be lively on a couple of occasions, Scott Carson, to get off his line. Not a lot he could have done about Frank Lampard's goal, though. That's the one that still separates the teams. Shevchenko's done well. He's got the better of Sankofa, but he's got three men on him to deal with now. And apparently the last touch was off the Ukrainian. It's those offside decisions. They're starting to annoy a few people, because there's supposed to be an advantage given to the attacking side, and you so rarely see that.
Well, the directives are there, but still I think the linesmen just err on the side of caution, don't they, when, as you say, it should be to the attacking side. I mean, I don't think he was offside anyway, but even if it was perhaps inches offside, if there's a bit of doubt, the rules are now that you give it to the attacking side.
Yeah, so effectively you ought to see far more goals, or far more efforts allowed when they were slightly offside than ones that were disallowed when they weren't, if you see what I mean, and it just doesn't seem to happen.
No, I think linesmen are worried, aren't they? If someone goes on and scores a goal and it's replayed time after time after time, they get a little bit of stick, whereas if they just put that flag up straight away, then people don't really review that situation quite as much. It's wrong, but I think it's human nature.
Lampard with the free kick. Kakuri with the header away. Clever touch from Lampard, and then Ballack. Haridason still not cleared. Thomas has won a free kick there for obstruction against Diarra. The latest right back in what in truth has been a slight problem slot for Chelsea this season. They've tried all sorts of people. He's the current incumbent.
We had an excellent game, didn't he, on Wednesday night? Really got forward a lot and whipped in some great crosses. It has been a problem position. I still think Jeremy Ferreira, a really good right backs, can do the job, and I think Diarra is hoping that eventually he will be playing in midfield, but I'm sure he's just delighted to get a start for Chelsea.
Certainly is. Did his first proper interview in English this week, which turned into a bit of a riot down at Cobham.
That was a great piece.
Bent out wide again. Makes you wonder who's in the middle. There are a couple of red shirts though, and Bent's cross was a good one. Essien doing the defending again. They're not going to get an obstruction for that.
Well, that's the thing as well. You can just hear the fans. They know that Chelsea have been the better side, and just a hopeless ball back into no one really. And certainly once it gets up to half-time, if it stays at 1-0 or even 2-0, the fans will start to turn with any misplaced passes, will make things even more difficult, will mean that Chelsea can go on and really finish the game off. And I'm sure they can do that. They just need to make sure, while it's still 1-0, we've obviously known in recent times, you're never quite sure that you are going to get the 3 points, but Chelsea just look a lot stronger than they did a month or so ago.
Lampard with time to pick out a pass. It's a great one towards Andrei Shevchenko. Scoring goals has very much been Charlton's problem. Only 11 scored here in the Premiership, and that is, with all due respect, a bit of a feeble tally, isn't it?
That's why they're down there, isn't it? It's relegation material, and you know, you can see the game's about scoring goals, and if you're conceding silly goals, which they have done as well, it's just a bad concoction, and you can see why they are down there. It's just whether Alan Pardew coming in can bring new ideas and keep them up, and obviously one of my former teams, I hope they do stay up.
Those problems compounded by what has to be said has been terribly bad luck in losing some really key players. When you're down there and maybe you don't have a lot of household names, to lose the likes of Luke Young and Darren Bent and Andy Reid, probably, if not their 3 best players, certainly 3 of their best players.
Yeah,
three of them at the same time.
Definitely, and in a way it's a shame that Jimmy Floyd hasn't quite been as prolific as we know he can be. Obviously not quite as quick as he was, but still a goal machine, and just would have been nice for him to get 10-15 this season.
He's only got 2, one of them against Chelsea. Wouldn't bet against him coming off the bench. Carvalho, who had time but has smashed it upfield. Sankofa's header is an interesting one, but I think the flag was up against Shevchenko anyway. Just 5 Premiership wins in total for Charlton. Only Watford have fewer than that. Wayne Bridge with the defending. Petr Cech with the goalkeeping. Brian Hughes tried something cheeky. Presumably that was meant to be a lob. Drogba trying to cause some problems for Thatcher and Ryderson, and Carson's not kept it in. It'll be a Chelsea corner.
Yeah, it was a cheeky little lob from Brian Hughes, and it will take a great strike to beat Petr Cech from there. But that's the thing as well about Didier Drogba and Chelsea. They can pass the ball, they can keep the ball in midfield, or as soon as Petr Cech gets the ball, they can lump it long. Look at the havoc he just causes there between 2 Charlton players. They should be able to handle that, but no. And in the end, Scott Carson just overruns the ball, and it's a corner.
Which Frank Lampard takes towards Essien and Mikel. And that's definitely a foul by Diarra. Just wonder if Mark Halsey looked for a second. Yes, he was reaching for his pocket. And Lassana Diarra is the first name to go into Mark Halsey's book. Jerome Thomas, with a bit of neat feet, had got away from Diarra. I think if he'd have known Drogba was there, he wouldn't have stuck his leg out.
And it was the second time he did it in just a few minutes as well, wasn't it? And both on the same player, so not surprised Mark Halsey did get his yellow card out there.
The Chelsea fans are the only ones you can hear singing at the moment at the Valley. 10 minutes or so from the break. The home fans haven't had a great deal to sing about. Here's Wayne Bridge. And Lampard. Who all round, not just with the goal, seem to have time and space all day today when he's got the ball in midfield, and that's something that Charlton really can't afford to do.
No, class players seem to have that extra yard, don't they? And they just seem to, it looks as if they're playing at a bit of a slower pace. You can see Alan Pardew's trying to work out how can we stop this team. Well, I'm not quite sure you can, to be honest, Pards, but Chelsea have been by far and away the better side, and he'll be hoping that half-time will be coming very, very soon and he can try and change things around.
But he wouldn't mind having a Trevor Brooking 30 years ago to come off the bench. Phil Parkinson, who you saw there with Alan Pardew, managed to take the lead against Chelsea when he was Colchester boss last season. See if between them they can work out a way to breach the Chelsea defence here today. Bent finds Sankofa. And for once the Charlton fullbacks are attacking Chelsea. But not for long, Mikel. Shevchenko is going to have to do it on his own if he's going to do anything. Diarra. He's done well, Lassana Diarra, and look at the space ahead of him. Drogba calling for it. In the end, the pass was a very poor one. Shevchenko, Lampard and Drogba were all hoping to be on the end of it.
Yeah, it was a really good run, first of all, and when he looked up first time, if only he'd have just tried to play it in behind. So I think Didier Drogba was at the far post, just play it into that space and hope that Didier Drogba would get on the end of it. By taking a couple of extra touches, it really makes sure that space gets shorter and shorter, and the ball has to be inch perfect, and it certainly wasn't in the end. But that's what we want to see. We've seen Wayne Bridge get forward a lot of times. We want to see Diarra on the other side getting forward as much as possible as well.
Drogba doesn't win it, but does enough that Shevchenko can latch onto the second ball. Thatcher kept his feet, but couldn't keep it in. Sponsors will be pleased. You'd be forgiven for thinking that there are a couple of hundred people inside the valley. It really is that quiet. Here's Diarra. Bridge really being chased by Bent, and even that brought a round of applause from the home fans.
Comes to something, doesn't it, when the home fans are cheering someone who's doing something without the ball, because Charlton just can't seem to get the ball at the moment, and I just think Chelsea needs to make sure they try and get that second goal, try and get that 2-goal cushion, and I do feel it'll be very comfortable once they do that.
Well, Kakuri nutmegged Shevchenko once. What on earth was he thinking, trying to do it again? Shevchenko with the cross, deflection on it. It's come out to Drogba. The angle was against him, and the shot was over the bar.
I think you're right, Ben. What on earth was he trying to do it? Defender, he's already got one nutmeg. You don't try and do a second, and he was hoping when that ball went in, please don't score, please don't score. And did get Drogba on his left foot there in the end, made sure he didn't. It was such a difficult angle. I thought perhaps he could have brought that down and tried to just put the ball back in there, but it just shows the confidence of the guy at the moment.
Well, even in a season where he's scored some pretty spectacular goals, if he'd Van Basten that one into the roof of the net first time, that really would have been impressive. Makelele up but beaten to it. Bridge gets the better of Brian Hughes in the end and wins the throw.
He's been brilliant, hasn't he? He's got forward, but everything defending-wise he's done, it's been great as well. And you know, I really like Ashley Cole. I personally think he's the best left-back in the world, but we've got another guy coming in here who's probably the second best left-back in England, so it's horrible for Ashley Cole, and it's not great for Chelsea, but I don't think they're missing too much in the left-back area.
Bit of head tennis. There's been precious little for the home fans to get excited about. Petr Cech really hasn't been tested as yet, and we're almost at half-time. Charlton on 20 points. That's a couple behind Wigan and 7 behind Sheffield United, so it's looking pretty much like 3 from 4 or maybe 5 in terms of the dreaded drop. Chelsea, meanwhile, on course to cut that gap that Manchester United have over them of 6 points to 3 at the moment. Left-footed cross from Diarra is a decent one, and Shevchenko's in there. Carson came out to punch, and in the end gets onto the loose ball. Bent. He's having to work as a sort of 6th midfielder at the moment. Romadal had the legs to beat Bridge to the ball.
Great defending again, and just goes to show how quick he is. We were talking about the pace of Romadal, and he kept up with him with Wayne Bridge.
Hughes. Decent cross, but no one attacking it. Can't ask much more than that from a cross. I mean, it was right into the danger area. First we have a look at one in Charlton's danger area.
Yeah, you just see it whipped in. Shevchenko very nearly, very brave of him. Scott Carson came out. I don't think he saw much of it. He was just hoping he could get some bit of the ball, and was lucky the ball in the end bounced back into his hands.
El Kakori. Looks long. That's the last touch off Ricardo Carvalho. And as this half winds up, Charlton have a chance to make something happen from this flag kick. They've really not been in the game, but can they steal something right at the death of this first period? Romadal with the corner. Nowhere near a red shirt.
I think Charlton just seem happy now, don't they, to try and get to half-time 1-0. They know really they've been totally overrun and outplayed, and I think Lampard would be delighted to try and get in at 1-0. I think Chelsea have just taken the foot off the gas a little bit in the last 5 or so minutes, and I just think it's important for them to try and keep on going, get that second goal, as I say. Charlton have been totally outplayed, but just takes one set piece, one good cross coming in, and you know, a flick off one of the strikers or even a defender, an own goal or something, and suddenly Chelsea have dropped 2 points. So it's important. I think Jose Mourinho will be saying, look, come on, we've been by far and away the better side, but let's make sure we get a goal early in that second half and kill the game off and start passing the ball around.
Makaleli. Essien waiting for options to arrive. Makaleli, as we enter the first and only minute of added time at the end of this half. Chelsea in no rush, apparently. Diarra. They're going to have a free kick themselves, though. Maybe there will be a chance to double the lead before the whistle goes.
Yeah, just need a quality Frank Lampard ball in. Didier Drogba or Shevchenko getting in there and making it 2-0, killing the game off.
Lampard lining it up. He's had a shot, Lampard. Carson's battered it out. Just about all he could do. And it brings the first half to an end. Those new balls don't half move in the air. Scott Carson did just about enough, but he couldn't do anything about Lampard's earlier effort that has put Chelsea in front of this game. Could have been 2 there, Scott, but generally speaking, it's been easy for Chelsea.
Yeah, what was I thinking, 35 yards out, and he's not going to have a shot. Of course he's going to have a shot, Frank Lampard. It was a great strike. He knows how to get those balls to bend and dip. And Scott Carson was a little bit lucky in the end. The ball didn't fall to Shevchenko because he was the first person to it. But generally speaking, Chelsea must be very happy, and Mourinho as well. Controlled the game, been by far and away the better side. Just need that second goal to kill it off.
Well, for a game with so much riding on it for both sides, you might have expected a little bit more oomph. It's been very comfortable so far for Chelsea, too much so for the Holmes fans liking. Half-time, it's Charlton 0, Chelsea 1.
Born in Imperial Russia, honored by the Tsars for its purity, forced from its homeland by revolution, sentenced to death, escaped to Europe, and enjoyed the world over for its extraordinary purity. Clearly, Smirnoff. The story continues at Smirnoff.com.
At Specsavers.
November Echo 10 Alpha, Roger out. We've been out here for 4 months now, and these are my guys, and I have 30 of them under my command. They're my responsibility and my #1 priority. Watch your spacing, we're two punched.
Hey, mister, the ball!
Also, be aware we have another friendly patrol on our left-hand side. They may become visible. Pivot! Stop! Take cover!
This film continues at armyjobs.mod.uk.
Gli occhi tuoi belli brillano, fiamme di sogno scintillano.
Cut!
Dolce & Gabbana, light blue, warm.
Ariel's cool, clean technology cleans brilliantly at 30 degrees. Turning to 30 is one of the many ways we can all do our bit to help keep the world's temperature down. And with Ariel, you still get outstanding results. Ariel, let's all turn to 30.
Stand by.
There's a fine line between winning and losing. Sometimes, just a few millilitres.
Oh, here's an interesting bit. I didn't know that. Cars need petrol.
This is a diesel.
When you break down, you just want to get going again quickly. The Green Flag, that's what we do. Cover starts from £27 online. What are you waiting for? Call or visit greenflag.com.
Because every bottle of Bulmer's original cider is chill filtered at 0 degrees when it's made, each one follows a natural instinct, risking everything to make it back to the ice and the way it was born to be. Cold, crisp, fresh, safe at... oh.
Bulmer's Original, born for ice.
Welcome back to the Valley. Frank Lampard has just moved on to 86 goals for Chelsea, which is 11th spot. The other day he overtook a couple of big names in Gudjonsson and Zola, and he's one behind now, 10th spot, which is occupied by a certain Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, who it looked during half-time, Scott, as if he was going to come on. It looked like he was getting some last-minute advice from the coaching staff, and there he is.
Yeah, Mark Robson, we saw one of the coaches at Charlton looks as if he was telling him about corners, both for and against, and there's no doubt about it, Charlton need a goal from their point of view. They can't just be happy, not just in terms of the scoreline, but how they play. They've been totally outplayed, but Jose Mourinho just talking to Wayne Bridge, just saying, please do exactly the same. Keep on whipping those balls in, get forward as much as possible. And of course, normally as a defender, you're meant to just defend, but he's actually made sure that Romedal's gone backwards and he's produced absolutely nothing for Charlton. So certainly Jose Mourinho will be hoping that the back four can be as solid as they were in the first half. But as I said earlier, just get that second goal and just make things a little bit easier for everyone.
Well, there is Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. He is on. As we mentioned earlier, just 2 goals for him this season, but one of them was against Chelsea. Charlton just about ready to get the game underway, and they need to produce an awful lot better showing than they did in the first half if they're going to get themselves back into this game. And that is hardly the ideal start. What do you think Alan Pardew said?
Oh my goodness, I think he's just saying, he probably would have just said, we're playing against arguably the best team in the country here, we're struggling, but no, on a positive way, he's got to just say, look, we're giving too much time in midfield really and giving them too much space to control and dictate the tempo of the game. You've got 5 men in midfield, should be outnumbering people, and you should be able to keep the ball a little bit better than what they were doing in the first half. And of course, once the ball does go up to Marcus Bent, he wasn't really giving quality ball, but he wasn't giving any good support either. So it's important for those midfielders, especially Brian Hughes, to give him a bit more support.
Dennis Romadal had a pretty ineffectual first half, is the man who's made way. So you'd think it would be I guess just more of a 4-4-2. It'll be interesting to see who's gone out on that right-hand side. Will it be Hughes, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big compliment for Wayne Bridge, isn't it? He was taking Romadal, as I said, the other way, and he was so ineffective. He wasn't going forward, Romadal, and he wasn't defending either.
Defending to do here. Drogba on the overhead, straight into the hands of Carson. The home fans calling for some urgency. Jerome Thomas just ambling into Chelsea's half then. He's got pace. Whether we'll see it or not in this game is another matter. Holland. It's Thomas again. No doubt who was the busier keeper in the first half. Petr Cech had almost nothing to do. Had to tip over a fortuitous cross from Talal El Khakouri. That was about it. Thatcher coming forward. Thomas can't keep it in though. And so far it's been that kind of day for Charlton. And a happy club captain, Drogba. Pulls one back and finds Ballack. Switch to the play, finds Bridge, who's put in all sorts of quality off that left boot in the first half. Deflection on that cross, hacked away anywhere will do. Hasselbank coming deep and telling them to launch it.
A scrappy start to the second half, isn't it? And really, we talked earlier in the first half, Ben, about how quiet the Charlton fans are, and you can just hear the Chelsea fans singing. It's incredible how outnumbered they are, but they're certainly raising their voices a lot more than Charlton, and very, very difficult if you're the home player and you're not really getting that kind of support. Of course, it's great for Chelsea players. They're listening, they're playing away from home, and yet they're making the most noise, their fans. It really does lift you as a player.
The supporters at West Ham and Charlton have been urged to do what Portsmouth did around this time last year, when brought in a couple of players in the transfer window and managed to get themselves on the kind of run that saw them get out of that relegation zone. Pompey fans always very noisy. And those at the Valley could do with taking a leaf out of their book, because their team needs them, although it is a two-way thing. They've got to have something to cheer. Makaleli seeing off the challenge of Marcus Bent. Here's Ballack. Chelsea have the patience to knock it around. Mikel finds Shevchenko, and now Diarra trying to put one into the danger area, but he's overhit it.
Yeah, right idea. He did overhit it. You could just see that gap there in between the defence and the goalkeeper, and he was trying to hit that for Didier Drogba to come onto as well. And Jose Mourinho just looking quite pensive there. I mean, he'd be happy. He'd be happy with how well the team has played. I just think Chelsea have been probably deserved to be 2 goals up rather than 1. And well, I keep on going on about it, but we know in recent times that they can concede stupid goals. And just want to get that second goal, make everything a lot more comfortable, really spray the ball around, get Charlton running and really tire them out. If they do get that second, I believe they'll go on and get another one and get a third as well.
Yes, however little they've shown so far. 1-0 down, Charlton are still more than in the game. Sankofa looking for someone to offer themselves. Hasselbank beaten to it by Carvalho, and the ball is cleared. Thatcher's won a header and so's Michael Essien, but I think he's taken a knock in the process. Chelsea have got a free kick. And Essien's got a bash on the head by the looks of it.
Well, knowing him, he's really strong. He'll probably just have the magic sponge put on him. In fact, he doesn't even want that. I'm just wondering whether he does, if he did ever come off in this particular game, the cheer from the Chelsea fans with a certain Mr. Terry coming on would be quite remarkable. It looked a bit painful there, and head injury, the referees do have to be really careful. But he's a tough guy, and he's played, I think he was saying he's played every minute of the Premiership so far. You can see why.
The only action he's missed was that Macclesfield FA Cup game when he was rested entirely. Other than that, he's not missed anything in terms of time, or, it has to be said, in terms of balls in the air, on the ground, you name it. I think the only time Michael Essien has looked in any way even approaching out of his depth was, as you mentioned, when he hasn't had Ricardo Carvalho alongside him, when they had two makeshift centre-backs, for instance, at Anfield, Paulo Ferreira and Essien. Then they had some problems, but that's understandable. That's two fish out of water.
It is, yeah. I think you obviously want centre-backs playing in the centre-back roles, as simple as that. Essien can play centre-back, but you need him alongside a recognised centre-back, and when Carvalho or John Terry's there, he looks as good as anybody else, well, almost in world football, really. But when you've got the likes of, with respect to Ferreira, who's not a centre-back either, and perhaps can't play the position as well as Essien, Essien becomes the major partner and has to make all the decisions, and perhaps he was just trying a little bit too hard. But he certainly struggled against Liverpool, but I think that's the only game that I've really seen him struggle. He's been magnificent. Between him and Didier Drogba for player of the season, not just for Chelsea, but perhaps for the whole of the Premiership.
There's certainly two of the names that have been bandied about. Jose Mourinho's compatriot Cristiano Ronaldo's got to be in with a shout for that one as well. Ryderson with a long throw, more than enough blue shirts to deal with the initial danger, and a good touch, and Drogba gets it away. Ballack loses it but wins it back. No foul on Frank Lampard apparently, and Charlton might have a chance for a break. The ball's just behind Jerome Thomas, but off he goes now. Ben Thatcher getting forward, that's a first. Thomas, decent ball in, and that could have gone anywhere. Bridge leaves it for Drogba. He's got time to pick a pass, but he's picked out a good one. Drogba again, trying to find Bridge, who seems tireless today. Lots of running from Chelsea's left back.
Well, that's the thing as well. I mean, I personally like the 4-3-3 formation, but when you've got the wingers out injured and you've got the four-man in midfield, quite a narrow four, you do need the full-backs to get on, and that's exactly what Wayne Bridge has played the perfect game. And you know, if it was Ashley Cole out there, you'd be thinking he's one of the world's best left backs, and for me he's probably been the best player on the pitch so far.
Lampard. Ballack losing out to Hughes. And Thomas losing out to the dynamic Diarra, who is also full of running. Drogba on the turn, shot blocked before he could really get it away. And the biggest roar of the day from the Charlton fans as Hasselbank wins a challenge and sets Thomas off on his bike. Needs support in the middle. Marcus Bent was the only one there. More catching up now. Strong defending from Ricardo Carvalho.
That was great defending, wasn't it, from Carvalho? And it almost, the fact he twists and turns so many times, ended up, stayed on his feet, the experienced defender of the years, went to ground when he needed to. The ball came back off Jerome Thomas, and it looked as if he went to say something to Thomas, as if like, don't you start doing that, and don't you do that again. And you know, I'm a better player than you. I've made sure I won the ball there. Just great defending from Carvalho. He's another player who's very underrated actually in the Premiership. He's another player who's had a great season for Chelsea.
Diarra's throw. fight. And you think if Charlton are going to get back into this game, Scott, Jerome Thomas might actually be a key, trying to get it out wide and get some danger into the box. It sounds obvious, but that might be the plan.
Well, I think he's their best player. He's the best player at the club. He's certainly the trickiest player, most talented as well. And Diarra just has to be careful. He did well there. It wasn't a foul, but he's on a booking already. He's fouled Thomas a couple of times, and just one more mistimed tackle and he could go. And suddenly, obviously, Chelsea playing with 10 men, just the whole psychology of the game just changes, and then maybe the crowd become a little bit more important for Charlton.
Drogba gets round for the left foot shot eventually. Shevchenko nearly turned it into a pass, and Carson again had to be alert. Ballack. No handball. Mikel finds Lampard. Chelsea camped in that final third. Here's Bridge. It's the first Duff cross he's put over today. Maybe things opening out a little bit now. Thomas. Nice ball. But more outstanding defending. Carvalho reading the danger so well again. Kokori. Hasselbank. Out to Bent. Charlton enjoying a little bit more possession already in these opening 12 minutes than they did pretty much the whole of the first half. That's easy meat for Cech though. Drogba taking on Sankofa. Doesn't get the decision from Mark Halsey that he was hoping for.
Well, as a Chelsea fan, that's a definite foul. As a full-back, I'll say it isn't. But it just shows the strength of the guy. For me, that was a foul, actually. Sankofa just didn't get any of the ball, tripped up Didier Drogba, and not quite sure why Mark Halsey didn't give a foul there. But I just think you said about this, Charlton have done pretty well in the second half, and they have, and that's what just worries me, you know. 1-0 up, Chelsea very, very comfortable and coasting as well. I just want to make sure they try and get Shevchenko a little bit more in the game, Drogba as well, get the ball up a little bit further and a little bit quicker and damage the Charlton defence, because when those two have been on the ball, they've looked very, very dangerous.
The more attacking options on Jose Mourinho's bench, should he desire to go that way. Salomon Kalou got another goal in midweek. Sean Wright-Phillips is there too. One may be enough, it may not, as we approach the hour mark.
I mean, it's very much a Chelsea of a couple of years ago, isn't it, where they seemed comfortable at 1-0 and almost killed the game off, almost like an Italian way of playing. And I'd say Chelsea do look really comfortable. They are by far and away the better sides, and hopefully they can keep a clean sheet, which will really please Jose Mourinho so much. But you just never know with a team that's scrapping around relegation.
This kick from Holland has allowed this Chelsea break. Flags up against Didier Drogba though again. Probably another close one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he's offside. I mean, that's not just a yard, that's about 3 or 4 yards. Ben Thatcher keeping him onside. That's a really poor decision from the linesman.
Surprised Drogba didn't make more of that. Check out to claim well at the edge of his box. Something we take for granted with Petr Cech. He just comes and gets it wherever it is, and not something that all goalkeepers are capable of doing.
I think it's probably the most difficult thing in a goalkeeper's makeup, really. It looks spectacular, but shot stopping is not the hardest thing to do. It's about knowing when to come out for crosses and when not to come out, and catching or punching. And I think he is the world's #1 because he knows when to do that. His timing is impeccable, and just coming back, he has given Chelsea the Chelsea back four in the midfield as well, that extra little bit of confidence. When the balls go in the box, they know, they hear a clean shout, and Cech 9 times out of 10 will catch it.
Andy Five furious with the decision, but I think he was pulling back Andrei Shevchenko there. Chelsea will have a free kick. We're going to have to call it in Frank Lampard range after what he did in the first half. It's been 40 yards out, that one. For Scott Carson to parry the ball. Similar sort of range to this. Frank Lampard just pinching a couple of extra inches there. And maybe a couple more there. Mark Halsey's keeping an eye on it now and he's rolled it back.
Yeah, Jimmy Floyd's not happy, is he? But a couple of feet won't make a difference. And I think it's because it's so straight, it's very difficult to just cross it in as well. There's no angle there, so I think we'll definitely be seeing a Lampard shot.
How much will it move in the air if he can get it past or through the wall? Here comes Lampard, he's already scored once! Not this time.
He's allowed a poor shot now and again, isn't he? And with these balls, they're so much lighter than they were a few years ago, and if you haven't quite got the technique, that's what happens all the time. The thing that shows Frank is such a class player is that he's able to control the ball and make it dip and swerve and keep it on target more often than not. But players who perhaps haven't got quite the technique and calibre of him have those kind of shots all the time.
That one was out of play. Charlton will have a throw. Claude Makaleli, who you might remember got his first Chelsea goal. There haven't been too many of them. 2 to be precise, against Charlton on that title celebration day at the Bridge. Second attempt, mind, having missed the penalty. Ryderson back into the mix. Lampard on defensive duty, only as far as Sankofa, who'll sling another one back towards the Chelsea box. Now Thatcher has a go. Chelsea having to do a bit of organised defending, but so far, impeccably done. Bit of heading practice. Mikel. Never looks rushed on the ball, does he, John Mikel Obi? Definitely growing into this side, I think.
He is, he's getting a lot more confident now. You can see him wanting the ball, coming towards the ball, saying, give it to me, even if I've got a man on me as well. And you can see him becoming a Chelsea player, and obviously minutes on the pitch gives you that experience and gives you that confidence.
As it's doing with Wayne Bridge here, who's still going. Bridge might have been fouled. Lampard's cross, Thatcher away to safety. Good job too, because Didier Drogba was sniffing around just behind him.
Well, from the two best players in the pitch, wasn't it? Wayne Bridge just coming inside there, Frank Lampard running outside as well. Great little ball in, that's all you can do, that's all you can ask to do, hope that a striker's there, and good reading by Thatcher.
Shevchenko double teamed. He's got it back off Thatcher though. You always sensed he was fighting a losing battle there. Here's Thomas. He's got away from Ballack and Diarra, Jerome Thomas. Not Mikel though. So I didn't think that came off Mikel's foot. His fight. December the 13th, the last time we saw John Terry kitted up. The problem hasn't been the back surgery, it's been the nerves from the back that go down and cause all sorts of problems in various parts of the body. So header comes in. Guess you'll have to call that an attempt at goal by Charlton. There haven't been... And defy the unlikely man with the effort.
Haven't been many at all of them really, and you do feel that Chelsea have another gear to go up to if need be. The only thing I'm worried about is if they leave it too late, could it be too late to try and step it up? I'd like to see them do it now. really go for it, play how they were in the first half. They just seem to be quite comfortable, believing they're not going to concede a goal. I mean, a 1-0 win obviously is a fantastic effort, but I just think they've just eased off a little bit. They're just in second or third gear. Just get into fourth, kill the game off at 70 minutes, and then you can start to enjoy yourselves.
Out comes Cech again, over the top of Bent, didn't hang on to it, but did enough. Thatcher. It's far too close to the Chelsea keeper and nowhere near Hasselbank or Bent or any of the other intended recipients. Mikel. Yes, they've been knocking it around okay, but they haven't really produced a great deal of penetration. That bridge to Lampard moment a little while ago, just about it for this second half, really.
Yeah, and of course, while they've got the ball, while they're keeping the ball, they're making Charlton chase as well. They're starting to tire them out. Charlton will start to tire, but yeah, I just feel they need to get the ball up a little bit earlier to Didier Drogba, Shevchenko. When Drogba's had the ball, or Shevchenko, they both look dangerous. They both look as if they're wanting to score and capable of scoring more goals. And apart from that cross, as you were saying, the Frank Lampard cross, there's not been too much service in the second half for them.
It's a very dangerous game to ever presume that one goal will be enough, even if quite often that is the case. Bridge. Cross doesn't beat the first man. Mikel flying in, and Mark Halsey plays advantage. Thatcher's got space to run into if he wants to. Chooses the pass instead to Thomas. Bent. Nice first touch. Fye on the burst. Andy Fye! Cech got fingertips to it. And that's more like it from Charlton.
Well, first bit of real class from Charlton there, wasn't it? Really well-timed run. His first touch just getting beyond Frank Lampard, giving him no chance whatsoever. And it's a decent shot. Good save from Petr Cech.
Well, it's the mark of a quality keeper. It's a different skill playing at a club that's used to winning, because you don't have to do as much. You've still got to do it when the moment comes, and Cech did it again there. Really top save from Chelsea's number one. And the first real threat of the match, really, from Charlton.
Well, it was, and Ben, I'm not going to say it anymore because I've given my opinion now, but that's why it's so dangerous when it's 1-0, and I just feel that Chelsea, as I say, they're just playing in second or third gear, seem comfortable. They look at it as if they are the team of a couple of years ago where they were going to win 1-0, and certainly let's hope they do. But it just takes one bit of skill or one mistake, and that's the last I'm going to say on the matter.
Well, they have been warned. Maybe when the threat comes, though, like that, it's a little bit of a wake-up call, and they'll think, all right, come on, let's go and get another one.
I'd agree, definitely, and as I say, I just think that the service to the front two in the second half has not been up as early as it could have been, and with as much quality as well, and yeah, apart from that Lampard cross, they've not really given them too much.
Charlton's cause not being helped by the fact that Wigan have just taken the lead at the JJB. Decent ball in there. Charlton's day nearly got even worse still. Shevchenko flying in on the end of a really, really awkward, dangerous ball in.
Well, that's better, isn't it? You know, it's those in-swinging crosses or corners it could be, but in this case it was a cross. Very difficult to defend against. The keeper doesn't know whether to come out. The defenders don't really want to touch the ball, just in case it comes off them and goes in the goal. Shevchenko running on as well. That's the type of quality ball that we want to see a little bit more of.
Just gives us another chance to have a look at this. Marcus Bent did well, fed Andy Fye, who couldn't have done any more. That was heading for the top of the net.
I think you put it spot on there, Ben, is that the difference of a keeper at a top club is concentration. You have to have that concentration at all times. You can go 60 minutes without making a save, and suddenly you make that one important save. And he just did that, and that's one of the many reasons why he's the world's #1.
Well, that challenge has got a few fans off their feet, and Alan Pardew as well, by the looks of it. Didn't like the decision. Chelsea have a free kick. Drogba couldn't control Lampard's pass. Here's Thomas again. He's looked considerably more lively in this second half than he did in the first, but Diarra watched the ball well and has won it back for Chelsea. Here's Makelele. High and hopeful from Bridge that time. You mentioned about shot stopping earlier, and people say all the time, you hear people saying, oh, he's a really good shot stopper, but pretty much all goalkeepers are good shot stoppers, otherwise they wouldn't be playing top flight football. It is all about the decision making on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, they've certainly got the agility. All the Premiership, even Championship and League One keepers have got that as well, but that's the real difference, the decision making with the crosses. Do I come out for a cross? If I do, am I going to catch, am I going to punch? You know, they've got a split second to do this. But with his physique, he just comes out, and his timing, he knows when to do it. The defence feels so comfortable and confident as well that when he does come out, when they do hear that shout, get out the way, because he's invariably going to punch it or catch it as well. Shot stopping, yeah, he's perfect, but a lot of goalkeepers are very good at that. But just that, I think, cuts him a little bit above the rest.
Absolutely. Might have some more defending to do here. Carvalho away, though, and Drogba likewise.
It's been a good lesson for Diarra as well, hasn't it? He's been up against Gams Pedersen, played really well on Wednesday. Today it's a different type, playing away from home, another tricky winger, and he's given him some problems, but it's all about understanding, and hopefully when he becomes in the team, whenever that will be, as a midfielder.
Danger here, onside, and Cech has done it again, and it's Andy Faye again. Tight angle, and the Chelsea keeper stood tall.
Well, yeah, just Makelele this time, just letting him get the wrong side of him. That's a couple of times now. Andy Faye's had a couple of shots on target. Petr Cech, again, we're talking about him, what a good keeper he is. Got his angles right, making a good save.
He's turning into a very unexpected danger man. Here's his corner. Marcus Bent was up, I think, and a few others in there too. Just wonder if it was honest, if Alan Pardew would have wished that one of those two chances had fallen for either Bent or Hasselbank rather than his destructive defensive midfielder, Andy Faye.
Well, I mean, the only thing he will say, Andy Faye, is that both shots were on target. That's all you can ask for, and both shots were struck really well. We're talking about Petr Cech, you know, again, in my opinion, the world's #1 keeper. It's very difficult to beat him. Got his angles right, made sure he wasn't beaten at the near post. He perhaps could have cut it across, but was there anybody there? I'm not sure. So just another good save from Cech.
And a change from the visitors, a double change in fact. Jose Mourinho has obviously decided he's seen enough of this, and Charlton are getting a bit too close for comfort, so things are changing around a little bit. Solomon Kalou has come on for Andrei Shevchenko, and John Mikel Obi's going off to be replaced by Sean Wright-Phillips, which in anyone's language is going to mean a 4-3-3, I think.
Yeah, definitely, I think so. You'd think Sean Wright-Phillips would be on the right, Kalou on the left, Drogba up front, and you've obviously got that powerful midfield three.
There's a touch for Kalou. He got his second league goal in midweek, causing himself a little bit of nuisance there. Tidy one-on-one it was against Blackburn, put it away very nicely. Lampard's done well to find him here. Kalou. Inside is Drogba. Dangerous cross into Kalou. Chelsea nearly had a second.
Well, he did everything right, didn't he? He went to, looked as if for the defender, he was going to the back post, suddenly straight into the near post. That's a decent chance. I think that clipped the post there, didn't it? It was a good strike on his left foot, try to keep it down. Scott Carson, that probably a yard in between him and the post. Would have had no chance if it had gone in there, but nice first touch for Kalou.
Yes, Scott Carson rooted to the spot and thankful to the frame of his goal. But his side are still just one goal down. Here's Diarra. Essien almost in trouble with Marcus Bent closing him down.
Yeah, I was talking about Diarra and how much playing at right back, even though predominantly he's not a right back, he'd prefer to play in the middle. It's all given him all really good experience, with a good understanding of how different positions play as well. So when he does go into the midfield, whenever that is, he'll understand the type of balls that a full-back will want and the protection they need as well.
Two substitutes combining there. Kalou and Wright Phillips. I think that was actually a shot by Frank Lampard. We'll forgive him. Struck enough of them well enough so far this season. Diarra. And there's a race on here which Didier Drogba's won, as Carson for once was late off his line and Ben Thatcher did enough to see off the thread of Drogba, more with his body than his feet.
Confusing in the back four there for Charlton. Good defending in the end from Thatcher. He just stood up, but Drogba's so sharp. Just see Sean Wright Phillips getting a touch there, and Didier Drogba, just so sharp, isn't he? He just never falls asleep, and you have to be so careful when you're the opposition defender. If you're not 100% concentrated all the time, he's going to nip in behind you, and then suddenly once he's got that half a yard, you're just not catching him.
Kevin Lisby's on to supplement the fight. He's come on for Matt Holland, so Alan Pardew's nothing if not brave. We've got three front men on the pitch now, having started off with only one. 12 minutes left, you've got to go for it.
Yeah, I think to be fair to Alan Pardew, he was brave at West Ham, and he's got to be brave here. He's trying to be positive, and that's the right thing to do from his opinion.
Wright Phillips doing really well. Sure, Wright Phillips forces Carson into a good save at his near post. It might not have been heading in, but Carson couldn't take that risk.
This is the type of thing that Chelsea bought him for, isn't it? Just going left and right, cutting inside, defenders not knowing exactly what to do. Perhaps just could have gone across the goal there, really, so if the keeper had saved it, would have come out to one of the strikers, but that will give him a lot of confidence, a really good run.
And the ball is very much where Chelsea want it to be. Charlton's third, Lampard's corner. Kalou so nearly connected with that important defensive header to make sure he didn't. Makaleli tries to switch it back to Lampard. And the fast feet of Sean Wright Phillips tidies up very nicely. Calmness personified, Claude Makaleli. There's the flick from Bent, and he could be in here, Hasselbank, and a really good piece of defending, and it needed to be. And a little hurdle to boot at the end. Lassana Diarra, fantastic.
Well, I must admit, when he started winding up that foot, Jimmy, I thought, oh my goodness, and great defending on the cover there from Diarra. That's the type of thing where he's just gaining experience all the time and knowing exactly what position and what the position requires him to do.
Heraudison with the throw, more defending to do for Chelsea. Check is out with both fists. Heraudison back into the mix, and away by Carvalho, and Heraudison with the head again. Essien, I think for a moment wasn't entirely sure what to do. In the end, it's a Charlton corner, and finally the home fans are starting to rouse their side, and their side are doing enough to rouse them. And this is where you wish that Chelsea had gone for the jugular a bit in the first half when they were so dominant. 10 minutes left, they are only one up. And Hughes has the corner. In it comes, and away it goes from Drogba again. El Kakori. Drogba bursting from the back. He's done well to take the sting out there. Here's Ballack. Sloppy though from Chelsea, really sloppy, and here's Hasselbank. He's brought down by Carvalho. It's going to be a free kick, and if Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank will get his way, I think he'll be taking it.
Well, it's set up for him, isn't it? Coming on against Chelsea, getting the equaliser as well, diving in there. He doesn't really need to do it because he's going nowhere, and he certainly wouldn't beat him for pace either. We know Jimmy Floyd's got a fantastic strike on him. Almost in front of goal, what was it, 30, 35 yards out. We've certainly seen him score like this in the past. El Kakuri, yeah, perhaps he'll be looking to have another rifling shot.
Well, a couple of blockbuster hitters. I think Petr Cech might have some work to do here, whichever one of them takes it. I wonder if after what happened in midweek at Bolton, El Kakuri is going to pull rank. He's got the longer run-up. Smashed one in past Jussi Jääskeläinen. It was pretty central, but Jääskeläinen just couldn't pick up the ball movement. So hard did El Kakuri hit it. This one would be even more precious. It's a flick instead, a little curled effort. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank surprised all of us.
I think he believed it was written in the stars there, didn't he? Otherwise, El Kakuri would normally have taken it. I think if it was against any other team, I think El Kakuri definitely would have taken that, and it's a poor free kick in the end.
Stay up, says Alan Pardew. Another substitute being ready. It looked like Suleiman Diawara behind the Charlton manager there. Here's Kalou to find Lampard. A second now for Chelsea would surely kill it off. Maybe Ballack can provide it. Not with that sort of strike, he can't. Five bounces and into the holdings. Nervy moments for the Chelsea boss. His side have been very dominant, Scott, for massive portions of this game.
Yeah, especially in the first half as well, and that's where I feel they just should have kept it really going at 100 miles an hour and kept the tempo up, been really strong as well, and killed the game off for that second goal. You still feel they look comfortable, but just the odd time where Chelsea do have a corner or do have a shot on goal and Petr Cech makes a save, you're just always thinking, it just takes one mistake, one bit of class, and suddenly it's a draw and it's two really badly dropped points if that's the case.
They simply can't, with all due respect to Charlton, they cannot afford to draw this match. Give United the chance to go 8 points clear with a win against Tottenham tomorrow. And that, you feel, would just be too much. Drogba inside to right, Phillips, who continued his run. Home fans want a handball, and they've got it. And Charlton doesn't get any easier for them. They've got Man United next. And then they're at home to Alan Kirbishley's West Ham, which is going to be such a tasty encounter for all sorts of reasons. Also got Watford and Wigan in the couple of weeks after that, so it's 6 pointers everywhere you look. Ryderson stayed up. The long ball has found his head, but it's away. Sankofa with a rather unhelpful ball. Thatcher. No surprise Carson's going long. Very calm piece of defending by Wayne Bridge. He's been as good as anyone on the pitch in this match. Drogba battling away with Ryderson. And even when he doesn't win the ball, he does enough to make someone make a mistake or something. He's so valuable, and it's led to this Chelsea attack here with Shaun Wright-Phillips. Mark Howsey got in Frank Lampard's way. In fairness, the ball wasn't the best to him. Won't be a bit of a stewards if Charlton score from this, though. Onside Marcus Bent. In comes the cross. And I wonder if Jerome Thomas might have given Kevin Lisby a shout then. He was running in unmarked on the far. Kevin Lisby once scored a 90th minute winner against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge from with a controversial free kick. And on that day, John Terry captained Chelsea for the first time, and it looks like the Blues skipper is about to re-enter the fray here. Here's Wright-Phillips though. Can he wrap it up? Top save from Carson, and it had to be. Shaun Wright-Phillips nearly gave Chelsea the 3 points.
Well, he's been so positive since he's come on, hasn't he? Just a great... First of all, he won the tackle. Great shot going into the bottom corner. Scott Carson, that for me is why he's one of the best keepers in the Premiership at the moment. He's having a great season. Such a shame for Shaun Wright-Phillips. That would have given him such a confidence boost.
Would have been a third Chelsea goal, and a really important one as well. One that would guarantee points. In comes Lampard's corner, straight to Carson. And I think it's time for a Chelsea substitution, and a popular one it will be.
Unless one of the back four's injured, I'll be surprised if he takes any of them off. It might just be a midfielder, and have him just sitting in front of the midfield, John Terry.
Was that a sign that says 3 at the back? Claude Makelele, the man making way. 13 games out. The man who's lifted the Premiership trophy twice for Chelsea comes back into the fray, and there's a big roar from those away fans. Charlton making their final change as well. Jerome Thomas's day is done, and the centre half is coming on for him, Suleiman Diawara. Tactics probably going out the window with 88 minutes gone. It's probably just get everyone up in the box whenever we have the ball, I suppose.
I think he'd be playing centre forward, wouldn't he? And as you say, just the long balls going in there now. Perfect man to combat then, isn't it, John Terry?
Well, Chelsea, after his injury, kept just 3 clean sheets in 10 games. And then the last 3 have been clean sheets, and today is looking like another one. Bridges' throw. Ballack's header. Bent. Lampard picked his pocket. Bent going nowhere with that. It's just not happened really for Charlton today. They've had a couple of chances in this second half. Both fell to Andy Fye. Petr Cech was in his way on both occasions. And a big roar for a diving header from John Terry, but he might have more defending to do here. Hasselbank taking on Diarra, trying to bulldoze his way through. It didn't work though. Brian Hughes. Good header away by Wayne Bridge.
Well, all Charlton have got to do now is just lump it in there, and I think it's just a case of perhaps Jose Mourinho saw what Lampard was going to do and try to combat that by bringing John Terry on. Normally, I wouldn't like to see 3 minutes to go. Normally I wouldn't like to see the defence change when they're being comfortable, but John Terry coming on is a special kind of man.
And it comes from Hughes, and away it goes from Carvalho. El Kikorios to shoot by the home fans, but his first touch was not good enough to allow that to happen. Well, Well, 1-0 didn't really look a realistic scoreline after about 20 minutes when it looked as if Chelsea were going to pour all over Charlton. The first half was a cruise, the second half has been considerably tougher, and it might get tougher yet. Still defending to do, headed on by Thatcher. Just won't fall for Hasselbank. You can bet he is just dying to have one dig, just one shot for the ball to fall at his feet, 18 yards out. And a foul by Ben Thatcher brings Chelsea the respite they want. He's nearly there. Nearly, but not quite. Drogba. Great little pass from Kalou to right. Phillips to wrap it up. Oh, it's flashed wide. For the second time he's come close.
Well, what a shame, but he's been so lively, hasn't he, since come on. Ben Thatcher just not read his run. He's got in behind the defence there. Did everything right. Tried to go for the far post. Just a couple of inches the wrong side.
1 minute of the 3 remaining. And Ricardo Carvalho is down. Have another look at how that happened. Headed the back of Marcus Bent's head.
Yeah, had a bit of a nasty fall as well, didn't he? Probably just being a little bit professional as well, staying down a little bit longer than perhaps he needed to, but of course he's got to come off the pitch now, so hopefully the referee will allow him back on straight away.
You never get it all back either. We approach 93 minutes. Bridge with the long throw. Drogba. Just trying to hold on to it, but he doesn't need to. The fists are clenched. Frank Lampard's first half goal was enough to take all 3 points here at the Valley. Petr Cech was called into action a couple of times. Alan Pardew's woes continue. John Terry's made a comeback, and Scott, it was comfortable until the end.
It was, yeah. I think it was the Chelsea of a couple of years ago, really. Get ahead, make sure the defence is really firm. Petr Cech, I thought he was brilliant. Had to make some important, real crucial saves at important times. John Terry, I think that's important. That will give him a big, big boost just to get back on there. Even though it was only 3 or 4 minutes, won a couple of headers as he normally does. And the match winner, Frank Lampard, well, how many times have we said that? Jose Mourinho, absolutely delighted.
And how delighted he must be to have those 2 players back. Not suggesting for a second that it's not a huge squad effort, but Petr Cech and John Terry back in that back line. Frank Lampard, again the match winner. Charlton are still right in the mire. Chelsea's revival continues. The gap between themselves and Man United, for now at least, is down to 3 points. Charlton 0, Chelsea 1.
1-0, 3 points. A good game to win with more goals and in a more comfortable way, because we had chances in the first half and we had chances with Solomon and Sean on the pitch, but when it goes to the last 5 minutes and 1-0 and the home team with a big spirit, you have to close the door the best you can, and we did it, and very important 3 points.
Petr Cech.
Everything looks easy. It's difficult, but with him looks easy. He reads the game, he comes out, gets crosses in the edge of the box. Makes saves. He's the best.
Yeah, it was a very good game. It was a London derby, and they are fighting for the avoiding relegation. So I think that was a good game. They tried to fight. They gave everything they could, and we had to do the same.
And in the second half, you had to pull out 2 top draw saves.
Yeah, the first one was important because it was still a long way to go, and if they scored, it would have been different. And the other one as well, but it was a tight angle, but the ball was bouncing and he hit the volley, so you never know when it's gonna go. So you have to be just you have to close the angle and be sure that it cannot go on the first post.
You looked as though you were going to come out and block him, and then decided to stand up and make yourself impossible to pass.
Yeah, because as I said, the ball was bouncing, and I didn't want to go out for him to open the goal to put a nice lob. So that's what I decided. I stayed in the good angle and tried to close it as much as I could.
It's really quite extraordinary the way you've come back, apparently on top form after so long out.
No, I've been working really hard for such a long period, and put a lot of energy in this comeback. So, and of course, before the first game, I wanted to make sure that I'm ready, because I wouldn't have said yes if I wasn't ready.
Was it frustrating we didn't get a second goal?
Yeah, of course. That's what we wanted to do, and especially in the first half, I think we were pretty dominant, and that was frustrating. And then we said that at half time, and unfortunately, you know, the longer the game goes 1-0, the more belief they have. They stick the ball in your box, and we have to keep trying to head it out. So it's quite difficult in the end, but we've done the job we had to do. 3 points, bit of pressure back on Man U.
It was pretty much trademark Jose Mourinho Chelsea, wasn't it? 1-0 away from home, plenty of possession, domination of the ball, and some scary moments in which outstanding performers had to make sure that the win was obtained. So Chelsea moved to within 3 points of Manchester United and put pressure on them for their Sunday fixture at Tottenham. It was as much as could be done here at the Valley. Petr Cech back on top form, John Terry back in the team, and Frank Lampard just the same old Frank. From Charlton Athletic, good night.